Volzar the lightning rod. More like Volzar the lightning not going to be in CC anymore. Fresh and buds now.
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh. It is episode 241, and you are all still my buds. And today we are graced with the presence of AggroBlaze back on the show. How's it going, my friend? How are you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm good. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, dude. I'm hyped to be back.
I'm actually, wait a second. One sec.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's go, dude. Oh, dude, you came so prepared. Hell yeah, dude.
I came prepared, folks. I got the headband. I got the somewhat of a, Hawaiian shirt. We're
Dude,
ready
I love
to
it.
rock.
They're not going to be able to tell us apart, man.
I know. We look like brothers. And,
Absolutely.
in a lot of ways we are. So, but we got a great show for you all today. It's kind of funny because we are recording this a week ahead of when this is going to come out. So I am pretty stoked to be talking to the winner of Calling Memphis. That is really cool. And we're gonna talk a little bit about Victor because you've been kind of diving in as I've seen on the YouTubes there. So who better to talk to about it than you? But first, how you been? What's going on?
Dude, I've been good. So at the start of this year, I off the cuff decided that I was going to go to every calling in North America in 2026. And I got to tell you, as much as I love our card game, I am getting sick and freaking tired of sitting on an airplane. My Fridays have been work, rush to the airport, fly out to wherever it is, and then fly back Sunday night so that I can teach class on Monday morning. And so I gotta tell you, I'm so tired of flying.
Yeah, and brave. I mean, I would say brave of you to do the Sunday night back. I know a lot of people who do it. It terrifies me because, obviously, what if the tournament goes long because I'm doing so well, and then I win and then I want to party and then I was like, well, I just gotta hop on a plane back. So kudos to you because first of all, going to every calling in North America is pretty crazy as it is, but that's really fun. I'm sure the travel is a lot, but do you have any tips and tricks you've been kind of getting into to handle that kind of travel stress?
If you want the truth, I think the biggest thing that I would tell people is to sleep the night before. I fly out on Thursday a lot, but Thursday night, I'm in bed early. The stream goes off at 10 and I'm trying to be asleep by 20 after 10, on Thursday night. Cause flying to me is exhausting. And I know that sounds weird because you're just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I get in somewhere Friday night, I'm killed. I'm just ready to go to bed the moment I get to the Airbnb or the hotel or whatever it is. So, yeah, but sleep a lot on Thursday night.
Yeah. Well, we're recording this on Thursday. I mean, I'm assuming Memphis is not too bad of a travel day.
So, I am northeast Tennessee. Memphis is very, southwest Tennessee. So, okay. I am 7.5 hour drive from Tennessee or from Memphis. So, I am actually flying to Memphis. And I don't leave tomorrow night until 7:30. I get in at 11:45 and I land coming back on Sunday night at our local airport at midnight. So it's a whole thing.
All right. Hey, listen, little hop, skip, and a jump. And that's 2 different time zones if I'm not mistaken as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting. All right. Well, you get the time? No, you lose the time on the way back, right?
Yeah, lose it on the way back. But flying. So it's really funny you bring up the time zone difference because I just went to calling San Diego back in February and going to California was great. Stopped in Dallas, then went to California and it was oh, this is great. I barely lost any time. Land in San Diego at 64 degrees, it's sunny. Everybody's putting on their hoodies because they're cold that lives there. And I'm thinking how nice it is at 9 o'clock at night. Coming back from San Diego. My flight left Sunday night at 10 o'clock. I landed in Charlotte at 5 a.m. and worked in the Charlotte airport until I caught my flight back on my lunch break, and then worked once I got home on Monday. It was a wild weekend of travel.
Well, I hope at least, you're getting some points and miles on maybe a card. When I first started traveling more, I got a United card or whatever. And I will be posting the number of that on the Patreon, just anybody who's curious. But no, I'm kidding. Unless, no. But, you got to get something like that. Got to get those rewards. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. So when we went to Pro Tour London last year for the first time, we just got a credit card, like one of those big Chase Travel or whatever it is, and we put all that stuff on it, and then I just pay it off after I put all of it on there. Yeah, rack up the miles between last year and this year. Yeah, we're loading up on miles right now.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have a nice trip coming up. Hopefully, that's non-fab related. But in the meantime, it's all cards right now. So you're going to Memphis. You just got back from Memphis. You partied. You won. Yada yada yada. How did your ProQuest season go?
ProQuest season was. I won a ProQuest, so I can't complain too much, right? I actually only got to go to 4 ProQuests with how it all worked out. So there was Calling Montreal in the middle that I went to, and then now there's Calling Memphis the last weekend. So I went to my local one where I finished 10th and missed top 8. Went to a one about 2 hours away where I made top 4. Those 2 were Sage ProQuests. I played KO, Armed and Dangerous, because I think he's just really good. And then CC ProQuest, I went to 2, lost in the finals, and then won on my very last day that I had a chance to qualify. So worked out. I'm very excited to go to Vegas.
Very nice, very nice. And was that on Victor? I'm sorry, did I miss that?
Oh, yeah. I played Victor at both of my CC ProQuests. Yep.
Good call. We'll be talking about the blonde man himself soon. That's cool. How'd you feel about the Sage split, right? Like the first couple weeks Sage and then the second couple weeks CC? Because in the past, we had the mix where it was there's a draft one tomorrow, but we have a CC one today, yada, yada, yada.
I really liked that they split it up specifically. It was kind of nice to be I'm going to go to Calling San Diego, and then I have 2 weeks of Silver Age ProQuest. And the Calling San Diego was Silver Age. So I got to spend 3 or 4 weeks just grinding out Silver Age. And then in my head, it was okay, time to transition to CC and start playing that. I really liked the way they did that. It made it so much easier as opposed to trying to make sure I had both decks in my backpack in case I forgot what was Sunday or what was Saturday and had to pivot at the last second. So I really hope that if they even if they do draft ones and they do CC in the future, I hope that the first 2 weeks are draft and then the last 2 or 3 weeks are CC moving forward.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I liked it a lot, and I mean Sage was interesting, and obviously is the first big moment for Sage, where everybody was playing. So interested to see where that goes, but I think we're maybe a month away from a vote on that, but I'm sure all the content creators and loud voices out there will be reasonable, and nobody will be pushing any kind of craziness. So I'm looking forward to it. But let's talk about your content. How's the stream going? You're one of, if not the most consistent streamer in this game. How you finding it? You feeling it's growing, etc.?
Yeah. So I feel Flesh and Blood in general is really growing, and I feel that kind of relates to views. As a content creator, it's very easy to get caught up in views and watch time and metrics and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's all about hanging out, being in with the community and playing games and having a good time. Tonight on stream, this will have been last week whenever this comes out, I guess. I completely threw a game just to make a fun play because we thought it was hilarious with chat. And so stuff like that is a lot of fun. And seeing the numbers grow is obviously a good feeling. But it's awesome to see our game grow. Trading card games are such a niche hobby, I feel compared to the video game industry is blown up. You don't see card game streamers with 10, 15, 20,000 viewers. It's just not a thing that happens. So it's been cool to see, like our game growing and like really taking over. Like feels like doing really well on YouTube, and like Twitch is growing. So it's been awesome to be a part of that from the beginning.
Yeah, it is cool. And we're a niche within a niche, right? Like, it's like, Flesh and Blood growing game, but it's still, not quite the largest game in this stratosphere. So I'm happy to see it grow as well. I'm happy to see you grow. Now, I don't think since the first time you're on, either you had just started it or it hadn't started yet, but breakpoints is something that you're doing on your channel too. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So breakpoints, I think, started right after we did like the episode last time. And it kind of just came together out of the blue, as weird as that sounds. Sam and Taylor are close friends of mine. Like we've been buddies, like, I would say like as close as card players get that live 5 hours apart from each other, and just like that friendship really like grew into like, oh well, like let's test and play cards here and there, and like then we grabbed dinner at a couple of events, and all of a sudden like they're like, hey, you want to do a podcast? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want to do a podcast. That sounds great. Oh, sorry, probably shouldn't cuss on the
you can let it fly, my friend.
I was like, I just listen, it's not my channel. I'm always trying to be respectful of everybody else's stuff, but yeah, so it's really cool to get to, like, I'm not grinding for tournaments. I'm not thinking about this or thinking about that. It's just me and, the guys just chilling and like, yapping about whatever nonsense we're playing and doing and having a good time. And it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, are you guys weekly on Breakpoints or is it, what day does it come out? Do you guys have a set day?
Well, we try to do every Wednesday.
Okay.
Just as like a general rule of thumb, but it's tough because we try to have guests on, and like if they're in Europe, like we probably can't record till the weekend because of like that 5 or 6 hour, gap difference of time. So we try to do every Wednesday, but it's kind of just fly by the seat of your pants some weeks.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I love to see it. Now, I'm joking about you winning Memphis, although it'd be really cool, right? It was really awesome to see.
Would be awesome.
But you're headed out to Memphis, right? You're doing all these callings, right? Which is a really cool endeavor. Obviously, we talked about the travel being tough. I'm wondering first, you stream a lot and you take this game seriously, obviously. You'll have fun on stream, but you're taking the game seriously. You're obviously, if you're traveling to all these events, how do you find that there's like an extra pressure to like perform because of being kind of a public figure in this game? This is something that I always struggle with too. It's like, do I need to be like, is there extra pressure there, or am I just doing what I'm doing, or should I just like tank every episode or every tournament to, find some good content out of it? How's your approach here?
It's tough. I think the important part for me is that the community has never made me feel like I have to perform, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody is super supportive, whether it's like, barely missing top 8 of a calling, or which is a very good weekend. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I feel very accomplished about those weekends. But in Montreal, I went 3-4 day 1 of the calling. Like it was the first time I've had a like under 500 record in quite a while. And that was pretty defeating for me. But like it posted like the recap video, and everybody's super nice. Like you'll get them tomorrow, stuff like that. And so the community does a great job of, making me feel like it's okay. Like you're a human, you can lose. It happens to all of us. But yeah, I will say, like, I am someone who holds myself to a very high standard. I've been like that my entire life. Like I don't like to halfway do things. So when I sit down to do something, I'm like, we're going to figure this out. We're going to put the time in. And so when I don't do well at a big event, it can be pretty defeating. And it's, there have been some long Sunday flights home, I will say, after some callings.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. Well, no, it's good to hear that the community always kind of rises to the occasion, I think, which is great about our community. But also, I get holding yourself to that standard, which I think is a good thing to do, right? Like, I don't think, it can be tough when it doesn't happen, right? It can be tough, but that's okay as long as you have the wherewithal to kind of like get out of that afterwards, right? Feel it in the moment and then move on. And like, I could tell that you're like that. You're you're right back at it. So it's pretty cool. Now, what did you play at Memphis this past weekend?
This past weekend,
Yeah.
I played Victor at Memphis. I have been a pretty strong Victor faithful since he came out. When Aurora took off, we played a lot of Aurora. But like I played Victor at Singapore, Pro Tour Singapore last year. Played him at pretty much I think every calling I've been to that was CC so far this year. I love playing Victor. It's just a lot of fun. So, and we're kind of moving into a meta where, man, I'm going to sound real stupid if I like 2-5 the calling or something playing Victor this weekend. But, we're kind of in the middle of a Guardian meta for the first time in a while, it kind of feels like. And so, this is one of those weekends where it's like, hey, like I'm not playing some off the wall pick. Like I'm playing what's probably going to be like a pretty highly repped deck this weekend.
Yeah. And what was the full tournament report? No, and who did you beat and how was it? But yeah, I think that, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here, like Victor kind of moving into that role along with some other Guardians, which is pretty interesting. But it is exciting, especially like, and it's rewarding too, right? Like you're somebody clearly who's put a lot of time into this hero, and then all of a sudden the meta meets you where you want to meet it. So like that's pretty sweet. Now beyond Memphis, any big tournaments? Obviously every North American calling, but are you going to Yokohama or are you just you're going? Are you qualified for Yokohama?
Yeah, so I qualified for Yokohama, won an RTN, so I'm qualified for Nationals, so I'll be at Minneapolis, and then snuck in under the wire at a ProQuest last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I guess, and we'll be at Pro Tour Vegas. I always laugh and tell people, Minneapolis, my wife's not going to. Carly's not very interested in going to Minneapolis, but she's going to be in Japan. She went to London, she went to Singapore, she's going to Vegas, all the fun places. I'm buying 2 plane tickets when we go to these things. So
yeah. Well, you're locked and loaded. I mean, hey, listen, Minneapolis is cool, and they got the Juicy Lucy there, which I tried last time. So, folks,
okay,
yeah, but I paid for it because I don't handle beef well. But that's okay, folks. It's the last time I ate beef actually, which was 2 years ago. I
was like, man, that's been a minute then.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Now that's pretty cool. You're locked and loaded for all the major tournaments, at least until Worlds, and I'm sure, wherever that's going to be. We don't know that yet, but unless we found out at Memphis.
Short of like it being like an astronomical amount of money to get there, I will be at Worlds. Like I don't know, like trying to. I think we kind of talked about this, and my wife will laugh when she listens to this because I've been saying like, oh, like this is the year, go this year. We're gonna do every event. I'm gonna hit as many things as possible, and next year I'm gonna take it easy. But I guarantee you, after Christmas, I'll be planning the next calling for 2027. I'm an addict. It's awful.
Yeah, next year you're gonna be like, no North American callings, only international callings this year. We are pushing. But all right, cool. It's very exciting to see you, kind of get out there and obviously you'll be pulling for you in all those major events as well, because listen, any former guests that win something, it's gonna be buco bucks for me over here.
I mean, listen, you're going to look great if I win Memphis this weekend. It's going to be
the
crazy.
Exclusive. Yeah. It'll be the first time I release the episode early. I'll be like, it's like Monday, like our Sunday night. And people are like, what? Like, how did this happen? but anyway, all right, we got some fresh faves to do. Compendium of Wraith is a set I keep forgetting came out. And I want to know some of your favorite cards out of the set. First of all, we got no new heroes out of the set. But I've been asking people, which hero got the coolest stuff in your estimation?
Ooh, which hero got the coolest stuff? This has been such a wide variety of stuff from Compendium of Wraith. I would say the coolest stuff was probably not really like a hero, but Earth. I have been trying to make this like sprout strength doubling season like thing work in Terra or something like that, where like, you get to throw like doubling season for like 18 or 24 or something crazy. Like I keep trying to make this happen and it's just not good enough, sadly. So I think that stuff's pretty cool.
It really is. It really is. I mean, some of those cards, obviously in a certain hero that's going to get voted out, we're pretty good. Now, what was your favorite equipment out of the set?
My favorite equipment out of the set was probably basalt or like boots, the Guardian boots that we got. I know that's like such an easy pick, but the Guardian boots are just so cool. Like we have, as a Guardian class, we have struggled to find a leg piece for a long time that like really fits the bill for what we're looking to do. And all you have to do is have a Seismic Surge. Like that's pretty easy to do in most Guardians. So having that 3-block boot piece is pretty solid.
Yeah, very cool. How do you feel about the Arcane Barrier Guardian piece? It's just null room.
Okay, so I am kind of frustrated by it, if I'm being honest, and I'm gonna go on a soapbox a little bit here. So if you read Brute's arm piece that they got, the Spell Void 3 arm piece or whatever it is, you just have to pitch a card that has 6 power. Well, in KO, in Sage, there's no window of opportunity for you to respond where that happens. So you can't, there's nothing to happen. But you have to control a Seismic Surge, or whatever it says for the other arm piece, which means there is a window where after your Seismic Surges go away, you have to create another one for that to be turned on. And I'm like, why is Brute getting the cool stuff? We already suck. Just give us some cool cards, please.
Wait. Listen, Brute's about to enter the Dark Ages again. It is.
In CC, maybe. Mandible Claw leaving is massive.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. Although it was crazy that Medex Rhinar won over the weekend, but no, you weren't playing it, so it couldn't have happened. No, that's a fair soapbox. Now, what's your favorite class and/or talent card that we got from Penn?
Class and/or talent card that we got from Penn. I think my favorite talent card is the Earth headpiece, the Majestic, the new quote unquote Crown of Seeds or whatever it is. I think that's really cool. I think that has some pretty neat applications in a couple of decks. I know Verdant's just left. But there's some pretty neat applications that I think you can use that with, and it feels like a better design space moving forward with the game. So I'm pretty excited to see that in action.
It's fair. Anything's better than Crown of Seeds, I would say. Now, what's your favorite generic card that came out of that set? Bonus points if it blocked for 2.
Oh, man. My favorite generic card that came from this set?
There wasn't a lot, to be fair.
Favorite generic card that came from this set? Man, there's not a lot of generic cards that are jumping out at me. This is because I haven't organized my pin bulk yet. It's been sitting on my desk over here, and I haven't organized it yet. Oh, man, I can't think of any generics. I'm going to feel real dumb when I look at my box after this episode.
Well, I'll tell you what I think it might be the only answer. Maybe, at least the answer that I've been getting the most has been Rockyard Rodeo. Even though it feels like it's not a generic, but it is the best one probably.
Card says rock on it is what it says next to it. But yeah, no, that is a cool card.
Yeah. Now, favorite token. I'm just going to ask your favorite token in the game because last time we had you on, we weren't asking this question.
Ooh, my favorite token ever?
Yep, in the game of Flesh and Blood.
Interesting. I mean, my favorite token ever, like, I probably got to be gold. I mean, come on, like,
Pretty good.
golds are pretty sweet. They work in Victor. If not, it's a might token. Like,
That's fair. That's fair. Now, I already asked you what class and talent would you be. Has that changed? Do you remember what you said the first time?
I have no
Yeah,
idea what I said last time. Oh man, that's so funny. My favorite class and talent type. You know what I would like to be now that we're here? I would like to be a lightning guardian. I don't even know what that would look like, but I think that would be cool. You know what? I know exactly what I said. I think I said Ice Ninja last time I was here.
Yeah.
Probably what I said.
Yeah, so probably the two most broken combinations I could think of. Like Lightning Guardian, just like, here's an embodiment of lightning with a bunch of crush cards. How about that? And
exactly.
Cool.
I love it.
I also don't remember what you said the greatest set of all time was last time you were here, but we've had quite a few sets come out since then. Is there a change?
So the thing that jumps out at me immediately, like the two sets that jump out at me are, and I've said this a few times and it's a very unpopular opinion, is Bright Lights. I love that set. Like that is like one of my favorite sets, like from a limited perspective. As someone who loves to draft and play sealed, drafting that format was such a blast. But Heavy Hitters was also great. Like I love that sealed format, and that whole meta was really like clean and smooth, and like, you know, there's a lot of like mid-rangey style decks in the meta. So I'd probably have to say Bright Lights, but Heavy Hitters is a close second for me.
Yeah, both fair. I liked drafting Bright Lights. I didn't like the gameplay so much, but
sure,
it would have been nice because we had the 40 max in that set, right?
Or 30. You had to play 30 or something like that.
Yeah. But the Tekla deck it could have been pretty oppressive sometimes, but like, yeah, it was really fun to make decisions in that draft format. And then I'm totally with you on the Heavy Hitters meta. Although I kind of feel a little Heavy Hitters meta right now. I mean, minus KO.
It does.
But that aggro tough nut that's been running around has been pretty cool. So not good, but cool.
That deck scares me more than I think it does most other people. I played one online the other day, and this is going to be like like an anecdotal story here. I was in the Discord with Taylor and Sam and like all the guys on the team, and we're sitting around talking, and I was like, guys, like, they said something about Tough Nut being good into Victor, and I was like, I've literally never lost to a Tough Nut. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you guys are coping. This is crazy. The next day, I am playing on Talishar testing, and I look up, and I'm like at 6 against this Tough Nut, and I'm like, oh god, I'm about to lose this game. I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, justice is coming back to bite me. And thankfully, they missed off the top of their deck and couldn't swing rock at me, and allowed me to like play Gold Main Estate and do the whole thing. But it was like, I'm telling no one about this.
Honestly, it feels like old school Leviathan to me, where like you had to do it the hard way, but like when you were cooking, people were like, "What? This deck is actually like really good," and then you miss, and then they lose, and like Tough Nut just feels like that. It's not as brutal to miss, but it can be pretty brutal. But I guess that's why
it feels bad for sure.
Yeah. But Tough Nut. I don't know. I mean, I like not the aggro Tough Nut into this meta more than the. Just play the good like numbers, I think. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about Victor. We've hinted at this blonde, smug person that's on a card, and people love Victor, and I think you're one of them. Obviously, you're one of them. And you've been jamming a lot. We're getting into this Guardian meta. How confident are you going into Memphis, Yokohama, and beyond right now, or at least until Omens comes out, like that this meta will continue to favor Victor?
So for calling Memphis specifically, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling very good. As someone who's been a Victor faithful, been working on the deck, feels like I have a lot of understanding of like what works against certain matchups and things like that. I feel very comfortable and very confident right now. There is a BNR coming out. Well, I guess it will have already have come out when
And it
this
was pretty
airs.
crazy, folks.
I'm sure it was wild. It's going to be like no changes now that we've said that. But that could shake up things for Pro Tour Yokohama quite a bit. But if there's no changes before we get to Omens, then I think Victor is in a really good place. KO was an unfavored matchup, so I'm pretty glad to see KO hit LL. Verdance was basically like a 0% unless you were gonna sideboard like 9 tech cards for the matchup. So there's a really big window now where I feel like Victor is leaning into the metagame pretty well. I'm actually expecting that Victor was a top 3 rep deck at Memphis is like what I'm predicting, to be honest. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that. I mean, this is a hero that a lot of people have been playing, but kind of sidelined it for a minute here. When things weren't super favorable, but it really has been kind of like one gift after another for Victor stands. KO leaving, and then the next week Verdance. Like, that is so huge. Like, obviously the KO matchup was, it's like Brute into like a really good Brute into Guardian. It's kind of Tails' time in a way. And then, you mentioned the tech cards, right? Like, when Verdance leaves, Victor doesn't have to play tech cards, and the deck just gets substantially better. It almost feels like when something like I always, when Verdance lost Carapace and just was forced to be a better deck without those cards, like so like how could the meta adapt though? Are there still decks that you're afraid of here?
So for sure, there are absolutely decks that I'm afraid of. Valda, is another Guardian that I think is well positioned in the meta, but also has pretty decent is favored in the Victor matchup. Victor draws cards, Victor gives surges and does things like that, and dominates a very scary text box. And Valda is very easily able to play some cards like the old ones or whatever they're called, those 6 for 10 Guardian cards that have text only in the Guardian matchups are pretty powerful. And you also don't clash very well against Valda. So Valda's a deck that, scares me a little bit. Gravy Bones is one of those decks that has fallen out of favor, I think, quite a bit, recently. But there's always a chance that, Gravy sneaks back into the meta, and that's, an unfavored matchup for us. With the Clash rule change, it's gotten a little bit better. But, it is not this, great matchup for us, so it's something to think about. There's definitely a meta where, people adapt and people start playing things, and Victor starts to be again kind of on the outside looking in, because if there's anything I've learned about playing Guardian, it's that people hate to lose to Guardian. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it just feels bad to people, and so people will do whatever they can to not lose to Guardian.
Yeah. It can be oppressive, and we haven't really had that kind of meta in a while. I remember when Bravos would be spanking me, and I was like, this will never happen again. And here we are. It's interesting. Now, one deck I haven't heard you mention here, and this is a deck that obviously has really shown since June. Really showed Vincett's real power on stream. A lot of people have been a little bit higher on Vincett. This is a deck that can do pretty powerful, like it could feel broken, right? When you see what Vincett can do. Is Vincett a concern? Is this a deck that you can handle as a Victor?
I mean, traditionally, Victor's pretty favored into that matchup because it's normally, just a fatigue angle. You play 30 blues, you're pitching a lot, you block with staunches, things like that. But, Vincett's received some pretty good tools, over the last couple sets, and Pin had some good cards in it. So I think that Vincett's taken quite a step up. And if you are a Guardian player or a fatigue player who is sleeping on Vincett, some of these high level players, like June is a great example. I was in Montreal watching her have this crazy run, and it's a good Vincett player knows how to play around fatigue. they will put you on the back foot and keep you backpedaling for a lot of the game. So it can be very tough. It's a matchup that I still think we're slightly favored into, but I think it is much less favored than it was, back at Pro Tour Singapore before all these new tools have been released.
Yeah, new tools, and then like we've also like I think the big thing about June doing so well and watching her play it is like she kind of really showed us, or like I mean, the general public, like, hey, this is kind of how this deck like works now, right? Like this is not it's kind of like it feels like compared to when I played against that deck prior that this is a paradigm shift on how that deck works. So that one's the one I would watch out for. Now, how's the Huntsman matchup? Because obviously Huntsman is having Huntsman's first moment, really, which is pretty cool. Like not first, but like first major moment.
Sure. I mean, Huntsman's much scarier than most people realize. Like, I don't know if you watched Calling Toulouse, but the top 4 game, Pablo Pintor hit the Remembrance off the top of the deck, got a Golden Sun late, got a Macho Grande late, and they played like probably one of the greatest games of Flesh and Blood I've watched in a long time. And I really enjoyed that game. But it's a matchup that's scary. You're kind of playing the lottery off the top of the deck with Hunter or Hunted, and that can be very scary. Because if you snipe, all of my Goldmane estates, if you snipe all of my Golden Suns, all of my Macho Grandes, like, you just took a lot of evasive damage and power out of my deck, and that's not easy to recover from. So, I mean, that matchup really comes down to my experience, how quickly do you get to Hunter or Hunted before I can play a Remembrance, to shuffle the deck or whatever, so you're in the dark, before we really get to that point where, like, how quickly can you make me say, you know what, I've got to risk it. I've got to hope you don't hit something powerful off the top of the deck. But it's been interesting. One of my new teammates, his name's Luke, he is a big Huntsman player, and we played the matchup, but we sat for like 2 hours of it, and we played like 2 games. It's such a long matchup. But like, it's just one of those things that, like, it's fun to play, but like it is a feels bad no matter which side you're on. Because if you're on the victor side and they snipe the Goldmane estates, then it's like, man, there went my game plan of remembering all the cool stuff back. But if you're playing Huntsman and you miss a bunch, then you're just sitting there watching me play 9 copies of Goldmane Estate and swinging Golden Sun for like 25. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a feels bad matchup no matter who wins, really.
Yeah, it is so interesting. I mean, I for one am very happy to see Huntsman kind of get into the fray here. I always thought the deck was really cool, and like I feel like pun intended here, I was getting a little bit fatigued on the other assassin kind of play styles, right? I they're totally valid, and if you enjoy that, that's cool. But like, there's something about the original Arachne Huntsman and playing the way Arachne Huntsman plays. You're just like, this is the world Brian Gottlieb imagined, years ago. So it is very cool. Now, moving over to aggro decks, right? We're a lot of talk about Guardian meta, right? This is like super grindy. There's a lot of fatigue piles. Are there any aggro decks that you can see push through? Because like we see Dash.io, right, kind of win a couple callings in the past few weeks, and that's very impressive. It's a deck that could be really easily fatigued, but also could push through big time. What are your thoughts on the aggro situation in this meta?
So that's the thing that I love about this meta, is that, we had a fatigue Ira in the top 8 of Calling Montreal, and Dash.io still won that calling. Like, there are these, like slop decks going around, is the term I keep hearing. And so like, to see Dio do well at these events tells me that, like, when you love a hero and you play it, you can win on any given Sunday. And I think that's important because, Dio has a very good anti-fatigue plan. With Plasma Mainline, with Teklo Pounders, with Maximum Velocity, you can do all these crazy things to go over the top and push through some damage. But, like, Victor is one of Dio's worst matchups, I think. The clashing, and then I'm throwing Spinal Crushes and Command and Conquers. It can be awkward at times. So I think Dio is a deck that can do, like, really, really well. And there is one other deck that I think is being slept on. And when people listen to this, they're probably going to think I'm a crackpot. But the deck that I think people are sleeping on right now is Syndra.
Okay.
Syndra feels like, even though she struggles into Guardians, I think that, she has that flick knives, grindy plan, can play, 65, 66 cards with D-Reacts in a lot of matchups and do some cool things. I don't know. Like, Syndra feels like there is like a weekend coming where Syndra is going to win something and shine above the rest of the decks.
I could see it. I mean, she's been pretty relevant, to some degree since she was released, right? I mean, starting with the first weekend, I think, which was Memphis, funny enough.
It was. Yeah, we're all coming back to that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can she repeat? But, that's interesting that you bring up Syndra because, all the hype was kind of around Fi, right? Like, after Penn. Like, and certainly Fi is playing a lot better and will likely LL, in the next couple of months because of it. But, well, I guess we might be we're a couple months away from another season per se, but
it was like we get another ProQuest season after Pro Tour Vegas. So before the end of the year, I think we could see Fi be on his way out the door.
Yeah. Or if he picks, I mean, like, listen, I mean, Fi has won a world championship, right? A Pro Tour. I don't know about a Pro Tour, but
I don't remember him winning a Pro Tour.
Yeah, won a world championship, came in second at US Nats one year, which that doesn't count for anything, but he can do it, I swear. But yeah, it is interesting. The Syndra thing is interesting. Last week we had my buddy Marklin on, who had just won on Bolton. Bolton got a lot of fun tools. I mean, I don't know, if the Boltons are coming out in droves exactly, so like it's the data's not really going to be kind to Bolton because if like one of them doesn't make day 2, none of them made day 2, right? Like that's just how it goes. But so yeah, I wonder how the aggressive decks will be. I full faith in Dio. Syndra's tough because I do think some people are scared of Syndra, but there's also a lot of people out there that kind of like been on it. Now, this is a lot of talk about an open meta. It's kind of like what we're kind of coming to here, right? Very open. People are talking about it all the time. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I love it, but and some people are wrong. No, but but I think looking at Yokohama in a couple weeks, right? Like, will this meta narrow, right? I have to imagine it will to some degree.
So one thing I've always noticed is that you have a very I'm not going to say a more targeted meta at these tier 4 events, like Pro Tour, Worlds, Nationals events. You have a much more targeted meta. But at like a calling, and I don't mean this to sound bad, but anybody can show up. Like I have been showing up playing Victor, which in the Verdance and Gravy meta was virtually unplayable for the last 8 months at every calling I've been to. So it's really interesting to see because there will always be the people who are like, I love this. I'm going to play this. And when I O2, I'm going to go out and have a beer with my friends and we're going to have a great weekend. And it's like that. It's a hobby, we should always enjoy that. But these tier 4 events, they're always so much more like it's all the pros. It's all the people who won ProQuest, which is not an easy thing to do. And so it's always so much more targeted. And I do think the meta will narrow as we get to Pro Tour Yokohama. And honestly, I was having this conversation the other day. I think that the meta has probably already started narrowing in testing circles. Privately, I think that's already started happening, but we don't always have access to that. So not everybody can see what the runaways are testing or, what the card guys are testing or whoever. So we don't know what their testing data really looks like.
Yeah, it will be interesting. It's always kind of exciting to see what actually shows up. Like when it's like this going into one of these tier 4 events, you're like, because as like a bystander, I'm like, how's it going to shake out? And I'm going to be really interested when it does, because I think we're going to see a lot of Huntsmen. I think probably a decent amount of Victor, and I think Dash.io is probably going to be a lot of people's aggressive pick, just because, like you said, it has those tools to kind of get over the top, and that'll be interesting. And if I were to pick everybody's deck, it would all be Riptide Mirrors, but you have to play Dreadbore, and you gotta figure it out. But looking ahead after Yokohama, we have Omens coming out. We don't know a lot. We know the hero text. Just a quick question on that. Like, we're talking a lot about, Guardian's time is back. Does this change that though? I mean, we have a new illusionist. We have some pretty wacky stuff going on.
So, I mean, obviously, I'm very stoked for Aurora to come back. Like, I think that them removing the elemental text from Aurora is a very good way to fix that and make her not like this like giga busted hero out of the box. So I'm very excited to see that. But I do think that Omens is going to shake up the meta. I am in the camp where I think this is going to be like an MST level broken set. Like, I'm expecting Omens to be like absolutely like super powered to the moon. I could be horribly wrong. It would not be the first time I've spec'd about something and been wrong. I will say that. But we have Ziggy. They are an illusionist hero that has arcane damage and is lightning with go against stuff. Like, I don't know.
Conceptually,
like,
it's a lot. Yeah.
That scares me. I mean, and my boy Sam is a big illusionist player. He has been in the kitchen. Now, some of his ideas, I think, we're burning the toast a little bit too much here. But like some of them are like kind of
it's fine.
A little bit, but like it's kind of crazy. I think that Omens is going to shake up the meta in a big way for national season, and in a big way, but a different way for Pro Tour Vegas.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, I hope it's not quite MST. I will say that. I hope that you're a little bit wrong on that, but I wouldn't mind like a set coming out and all three heroes are pretty relevant again, right? I think like the Hunted was I think the closest we've had to that, right? Like Syndra and Marionette and Slippy were all pretty relevant, and like Fang could do some work as well. And then we had, unfortunately, High Seas. It was really only Gravy for a minute. And, Puffin and Marlin are kind of trudging along now. But, and then Super Slam, yeah, that was a set. I loved it. I loved all the heroes that we got, but it was just...
It was cool.
It was
cool. And it was fun. But...
But, yeah. So, I've had a lot of fun with at least two of the four heroes. The two non-Guardians, to be honest. Sorry. But yeah, I hope you're right that like kind of out of the box, like we got three. I mean, on its face, right? Like we know Aurora originally was good, and this is not that different of a hero text, just a little bit more of a restriction, which is good, right? So, and it's Runeblade. It's hard pressed to find a Runeblade that hasn't been good at one point, right?
True.
Same with Illusionist. And, let's be honest, same with Wizard. So, like all three are probably going to be some form of a powerful, which will be pretty interesting. But excited to see what happens. Now, before we say goodbye, we do have some listener questions, my friend. And
oh, nice.
They come from the Buds Discord, which is free for everybody to join. Check it out. The first one comes from my good friend, Dead Summer Art, a.k.a. Kale, who asks, assuming Victor Match Fixer was adapted into a CC playable hero card, how well do you think it would do in the current meta? Being able to break 3 gold to gain +3 and dominate seems crazy.
I am so glad that it said what it does, because I was going to be on February over here on my monitor looking it up. I mean, man, break 3 gold to give +3 and dominate could be kind of insane.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like some nasty turns there, I mean, you're talking about giving Spinal Crush for 12 with dominate. Like, that's what nightmares are made of for some decks. That would be crazy. I have to imagine something like that would be very powerful.
Yeah.
Because even then, like, you could go over the top of like Gravy Bone stuff, and you could, like, put a lot of decks in the blender. I have to imagine I would maybe, move to Victor 2 if we had something like that in the meta.
Yeah. I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that, but yeah, because this one's a little wild. But yeah, it is a strong. I think that's probably a little too strong, but perfect for UPF. Next question comes from William, Table and Legs from the Table Pit, who asks, "What will be more fun, playing?" Okay, so I have to preface this question. Will is out here trying to get people to call the new Aurora Tempora because of Tempest. I'm
Okay.
anti. I'm not a fan of it. I like Amora because it's more Aurora, but that's just me. But Tempora, I guess, makes sense, William. Whatever. What will be more fun, playing as the new Tempora or beating Tempora as Victor?
Ooh, man, that's tough. I gotta say, playing New Aurora. I mean, Victor and Aurora are probably two of my favorite heroes to ever like be in the game. And it's tough. It's tough to pick which one I like to play more, honestly. But I probably got to go with Aurora. Lightning is just so cool. Like, I just love the lightning cards and the way the foils pop. And plus, I have a lot of really cool altered lightning tokens. So,
you know what I'll say? I was, obviously played during the days of Tales of Aria, and we had lightning stuff. But I'm liking the conceptual change, at least visually, on the lightning in Flesh and Blood to be like more like blues and purples and stuff like that. It looks way sharper, in my opinion. I'm a big fan. Next question comes from Darth Prentice, aka Greg, who asks, "What is the magical Christmas lantern in Victor that you dream about the most? And then also, have you read any good books this year?"
ooh, have I read any good books this year? So I'm just gonna level with you. I am not a reader. I am the worst when it comes to that. The last book I read was called The Fault in Our Stars. I don't know if you ever read it or watched the movie.
I've heard of it.
I was in college the last time I read a book.
All right.
So I'm so sorry, Greg. I know that's probably a disappointing answer, but so the Christmas lantern for me is more of like a situational thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Pummel in Arsenal, and I am coming off of a Goldbane estate turn, so I have some number of mites in play. And it is Golden Sun plus Pummel for exact lethal. Like, to put you to exactly 0 is like the dream turn for me.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, we don't need to deal extra damage. We're not greedy. Let's get.
I was like, I'm not that kind of guy, Like, I'm here for the community. Just exact lethal's good with me.
Yeah, it does feel good to do exact lethal. I like that answer. Next question comes from Campolo, who asked, "How would you design the hero that most represents your style of play?"
Ooh, interesting. How would I design the hero that most represents my style of play? So, I mean, two of my favorite things are Lightning and Guardian. Like, I've learned that over, the last, I don't know, like, couple of years. Like a Lightning Guardian would be really cool. I would love to see a way to incorporate, like, Lightning Guardian almost into, like, a Lyeth style thing, where you need to play pumps, but you're using Go Again, and, maybe they, don't use Crush, but it's, like, a different style Crush effect, if that makes any sense. And in that scenario, my Lightning Guardian hero has a weapon with Go Again. Not like maybe as busted as Starfall, but like this conditional Go Again, where it's like maybe if you've played a Lightning Guardian card with cost 2 or more, this gets Go Again or something like that. Like, I think would be really thematic and fit really well.
I could see them trying to blend into the flip something face up in your arsenal, like flip a Lightning Guardian card with X text keyword, and then it gets Go Again. That'd be kind of neat. Yeah,
that would be awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Next question comes from Always Be Crabbin', who asks, "As we all know, Victor is actually the horse. My question is, would you rather fight one Victor-sized duck or 100 duck-sized Victors, and why?"
Okay, so one Victor-sized duck, so a horse-sized duck, or 100 duck-sized Victor. I gotta take the one duck-sized horse, like Victor. Like I've gotta go with the
One horse-sized duck.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
did I say that backwards? My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
My bad. I'm confusing myself. But yeah, no, I would take the one horse-sized duck. I think I would have better odds at taking one bigger duck than I would at 100. I mean, I might just get overwhelmed, like, and then I'm just laying there, like, being like, I don't know, like pinched to death until I die. Like, it'd be awful.
It could. I think either way, it would be quite the task. But yeah, your odds I think seem better if you could just take down one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's a fair estimation. Now we did have one question that was time sensitive, unfortunately, but this is from E, aka Jumbo Chihuahua, who asks, so Verdance left the week before Memphis, which was my preferred deck of choice going into the calling. I knew she wouldn't make it, so I wasn't sure. So I made sure to get any and all backup decks up to speed. So with all that said, do I enter Teklo? And I'll message this to them.
Yeah.
Do I enter Teklo, Puffin, Jarl, or Tough Nut?
That is a tough one. Of my favorite ones that I think gives you like a real shot to do well this weekend, I would probably say Puffin. Because I think that there is a pirate build of Puffin out there that, has enough like tech utility blues to do well in this meta. And, you're able to like pummel Palantirs and do crazy stuff like that. So I got to go with Puffin on this one.
That's fair. I'll be sure to message them. But thank you for all the questions, folks. Really appreciate it. Now, thank you, my friend, for coming on the podcast, talking, it's not that often I get a calling winner right after they win. So it's been super cool. I really appreciate it. Can you please plug everything you like to plug? And thank you again.
No, thanks for being here, man. I'm AggroBlaze96. I mean, it's on my forehead. I'm there everywhere. Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it is. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. And you all can find me still on Blue Sky at freshbudspod. Check out the YouTube. Give us the old like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't watch this one on YouTube, you didn't see how alike we are in our dress, which is pretty fun. Check out the Patreon and Discord as well. And then Fresh Juice is a indie game podcast I do with my cousin every week. And this week we are in Boston for PAX East, and we'll be playing a bunch of games. So we'll be talking about that, and that'll be really, really fun. And finally, I always like to end every episode talking about food. So hit me. You've been traveling a lot, so I'm assuming you're eating some good food. What's something you've really liked this year so far?
You have no idea. So when I was in San Diego, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Top Gun. I am a big fan of the movie Top Gun,
Sure.
The old one and the new one. They filmed a scene in the original Top Gun in a barbecue restaurant a half mile from the convention center in San Diego. So after we were done with the calling, I walked my happy butt right down there, and I sat down there. I forgot to take my headband off, so they're all looking at me like I'm on crack walking down the street in San Diego. And I had barbecue, and it was some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. It was phenomenal.
All right. Next time I'm in San Diego, which I've never been, I'll keep an eye out for it.
It's great. You should check it out. It's a really cool city.
I will. And with that, we don't have time for Charmer, but I'm sure we'll get to him at some point. Thank you, everybody. Stay